Arley is quite a world traveled gentleman here. I tell you what, he's experienced lots of different cultures and has learned from a lot of different people being out there in the field. I'm going to let him tell you about all the different places that he's gone and the things that he's done. But I know that the people that know him personally, such as Karen and Angela and I, really respect Arley. And I think as you get to know him, you'll respect him too. So Arley Smude, it's all yours, sir. We're listening.
Thank you so much, Stan. Very kind words, and thank you for having me. Thank you for asking me to speak. It's an honor. I was curious, just before I start, I was hoping to just learn a little bit about the folks here that I don't know, just what they do for a living, why they're here, what brought them here, whatever might come to mind.
That'd be great. Okay, in that case, we'll start with Teddy right there. She just came on camera. Unmute yourself, Teddy, and say hello to Arley and what you do.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Arley. I'm happy to be here. Yes, my name is Teddy Nanunji, and yes, I am a language teacher. I work in an international school here in Uganda. I did literature and English language. Yes, so I love traveling. I want to ask, how do you do that? I want to be like you. Yeah, I'm really, really happy you're going to talk about that. And it will be amazing to know more about how you do it. And thanks to Stanley for giving us the opportunity to come and learn a few things here and there by educational mission. I'm happy to see you.
Thank you, Teddy.
Teddy's quite something. I tell you what, I appreciate her energy. She's always full of joy and happiness and spreads that around. Conrad, I'm going to let you introduce yourself, and then I'm going to let you introduce the other three folks, okay?
Yes, 70 countries and more. It is so surprising. When I saw that by myself, I was surprised. And of course, I expect to know which countries are those. Have you been to Uganda before? We'll get to know. My name is Conrad Leonard. I'm from Uganda. Uganda is in the eastern part of Africa. I do websites, I design websites, and I also design graphics. I've been working with Stanley for about now a year, and I got to know Stanley way back, and that's how we got to know each other as a team. Maybe to introduce the other people that may be not presenting their videos, we have Vanita Kajumba, that is Vani Kajumba. She was here as our guest speaker some time back. She's also in Uganda. We have Atamba Maureen. Atamba Maureen is also in Uganda. She happens to be my young sister, our last born. So then we also just lost Pastor Christopher. Pastor Christopher has also been our guest before. He's also a Ugandan. And mostly our expectations is self-help principles. And we get to learn how we can help one another, how we can help ourselves as well, grow and grow and grow. So that's what we really expect from you. Thank you so very much.
Fantastic. That's great. That helps give me some context. And yeah, I appreciate that. If you don't catch something, or if I'm talking too fast, or you can't hear me, or you just have a question, please stop anytime. And I'd also be interested at the end to hear about ways that y'all's life is unconventional. Whenever Stan asked me to speak, I really didn't know what would be the best thing to talk about. So I just sort of looked down at what I was doing in that moment, and I was replacing a toilet in an apartment. Not the most glamorous thing to be doing, but that's what I was doing in that moment. I was fixing a broken toilet, and it was amidst a week that has continued into this week of fixing broken pipes and tiles and a lot of manual labor and things that sometimes when I'm in the midst of, I'll ask myself, as someone that has done the things on paper that are very impressive that you've all heard, of traveling to many countries and getting lots of education. When I want to feel sorry for myself, I can't help but ask sometimes, did I make a mistake at some point if I'm replacing a toilet right now? Shouldn't someone else just be doing this? And one thing I learned from Stan, from his die, is the idea of reflecting on your life and where you thought you would be to where you are. And I took that opportunity this week to do that. And I actually made a graph asking myself, okay, because the way that Stan put it, I've heard since, but I hadn't heard before, of like, just not just reflecting, but thinking about where you thought you would be and then where you are. And so I made like a chart for myself, just sort of high level of my life, like, okay, thinking about where I was 10 years ago. 10 years ago, where did I think I would be a year from then, or 2 years from then, or as the video just talked about, 5 years? And it was a good opportunity for me to reflect, because it gave me a list of aspects of my life that maybe aren't good or bad, but I think are certainly unconventional. And so I'm going to share 5 of those with you all. And I hope that it at least offers some sort of entertainment, if not some insight. The first one is having an unconventional income. I'm often asked, even by people that know me decently well, like, what do you do? And what they're really asking me is, how do you make a living? What's your job? What's your income? And I don't have a one-word answer or even a one-sentence answer, but the closest that I've been able to come up with is micro-entrepreneur. I have an unconventional income. Going on 8 years ago, I moved home to Plant City, where I've since met the lovely people that you all get to see here every week, among many other wonderful people. But I moved home because I wanted to be around my family and my friends and the community that I knew. And I moved home. There wasn't like an exact fit of a job that made sense for me. And sort of by accident, I started finding ways to have an income. And like most people, maybe you all, I always thought about a lifestyle that involves not a normal 9-to-5 job or not a normal career as unstable and uncertain and scary. But what I unintentionally created, and am very much still creating for myself and my wife and family, is an anti-fragile life. Has anyone here by chance heard of the term anti-fragile? It comes from this wonderful book called Anti-Fragile. You may have heard of Black Swan. It's the same author of Black Swan, but something that's anti-fragile, basically there's not a word that's the opposite for fragile. It doesn't exist, at least in the English language. And so the idea is it's something that gets stronger as a result of stressors and shocks and volatility. It's not robust, because robust just means that it's gonna not break. Anti-fragile actually gets stronger. And what I came to realize about my life, even though it does include changing toilets, is because I don't have a 9-to-5 job that at the whim of my manager or the market crashing or all these things that are completely outside of my control, I am developing a life that is actually, I hope to be, more resilient than what we all often consider to be a secure, safe life of having that job with that pension and all those things. So how do I actually make money? You might be wondering that by now. 3 ways. 1, over the last 5 years, through a lot of hard work and savings, I've acquired some rental properties, which sometimes include changing the toilet or putting in a new tile or things like that. 2 is occasionally I'll do consulting work, sometimes here in Plant City, but sometimes places like Uganda and Rwanda, which I'll talk about in a little bit. And 3, I grew up at a metal fabrication shop, our family business. So something that was a hobby, I had the option at times to sell and make money from. So 3 completely different things that are all, for the most part, not quite consistent or stable, but together, I'm hopeful is bringing me towards what is going to be a more robust and anti-fragile life than a normal, traditional, conventional 9-to-5 job. Does that make sense? One thing that I don't know how it is in Uganda right now. I imagine it's quite different than in the US in terms of what's happening in education and the value of education. The value of, when I say education, I mean what I'll call paper education, as in having a degree. There's a lot of value in having a degree, but that's a trend that I see, and I think a lot of people see changing. In the US, a lot of people go to university and they get either a useful degree to be a dentist or maybe a business owner, or they get an unuseful degree to be, say, a sociologist. And I'm using these quotes not to judge one or the other, but to make the distinction that is often made, at least in our culture. Or in my case, an unuseful degree in public policy. But for nearly all of those people, what it has in common is that they're very expensive. And I imagine it's similar in Uganda relative to income, is that higher education is very expensive. So just to close the point on fragile versus anti-fragile, is that dentist degree. I have a good friend who's a dentist. And in the US, she paid $250,000, $250,000, 8 years of education to become a dentist. And that lifestyle is fantastic for her. She goes to work every day. She helps people. She improves her health. But if something happens to my friend's hands, what is she going to do? $250,000, she's still paying that debt off, 8 years of school. There's hand insurance that exists for dentists. Dentists can get insurance on their hands, because if something happens to her hands, her whole life is going to completely change. She'll need to find a new job, still pay off that debt somehow. So that makes sense for a lot of people, that conventional approach. But for others, it might make sense to change toilets sometimes, to do metal projects, to do consulting projects, because an unconventional approach to a livelihood by making an anti-fragile life in a lot of ways can give you a lot more freedom. The second one I want to talk about is an unconventional life equals an unconventional wife. Some of the people on this call know my wife, Victoria, and I would describe her as unconventional. And when I say unconventional, it's not only her herself, but also what she looks for in a partner. I'm going to generalize for a second, but most women don't go out excited to find instability in their partner, right? They want to know that that paycheck's coming in every week. They probably want a decent to very nice car. They probably want a lot of things that my unconventional wife isn't as interested in. And in this process of reflection, one thing I found is if you're unconventional, most women aren't interested in you. But I see that as a good thing. Because for me, it was a filter. If a woman doesn't like that I don't have a 9-to-5 job, she's not going to be a good partner for me long term, and vice versa. So by putting myself out there and being my own unconventional self, just by the law of natural attraction, and my wife gets all the credit for our wonderful relationship blossoming, I attracted this person that was okay with my unconventional lifestyle. And one thing I used to do whenever I was dating, half as a joke, is on the first date, I would let her know, if this goes anywhere, I just want you to know now, the wedding ring will cost $100, no more, because rings are dumb. There's a decent chance that my parents are going to live with us at some point, which in the US is less common, I think, than most of Africa and a lot of other parts of the world of that happening. And 3 will be based in Plant City. And then if that didn't scare them off, shortly after I would introduce them to all my friends, just so they knew that, okay, these people are going to be a part of our lives if it works out.
That was scary.
Yeah, but by being my own unconventional self, I was able to naturally filter out pretty much everyone in the world except my wonderful wife. And the example to bring it to your part of the world, the moment that I realized that I need to marry my beautiful wife was I had a job that I enjoyed. It was with Tesla. Great company, great name, really fancy, but it involved a decent amount of sales, which I didn't necessarily enjoy. I was making pretty decent money. And then an offer came along from my old boss. He worked at a company called Equalize Health, and they were planning a conference, a symposium in East Africa. And his manager got in a terrible car accident in Uganda. And he needed someone to fill in to help plan that conference. And he asked me if I would be interested. My wife, not at the time, my girlfriend at the time, told me, you should quit your job, go make less money, and be away from me for 4 months. Most women wouldn't do that, but she knew that it's what made sense for me at the time. And I think it worked out extraordinarily well, because that unconventional experience not only led to me finally getting it together and realizing I needed to propose, but it led to other consulting job opportunities like this that help our unconventional anti-fragile lifestyle with consulting jobs in other parts of the world, like Southeast Asia, where on that trip, she was actually able to come and spend time there while I was working. So the recap of number 2 is attract and also surround yourself with unconventional people. The third is a lot of people talk about working hard versus working smart. Is it hard work or is it intelligence? How do you get ahead? Probably a combination. But what I feel like doesn't get enough attention is just working differently. Not necessarily hard, not necessarily smart, but just different. And one example I'll give based on Teddy talking about me, different travels, is, at least from the US perspective, I understand this is different for Ugandans and a lot of people in the world, is there's this perception in the US that it's very expensive and impossible to travel abroad without an extraordinary amount of money. In the US, where it's, depending on the country, relatively easy to get visas, that's not true. I spent a lot of time not working hard or smart to travel, but just thinking differently of how I was going to go about traveling and leveraging resources. There used to be a website called Couchsurfing where you could stay with people for free just because they wanted to experience different cultures. So I just wanted to share that example because she had said that she was interested in hearing about my travels. But the other example I'll give is for graduate school. In my early 20s, like a lot of people, I didn't know exactly which direction to go or what to do. And like a lot of poor, silly, lost souls in the US, I thought it would be a good idea to go to law school, because that's just what a lot of people did that studied political science and then didn't know what to do. So I applied to a few schools, got into a few not great schools, didn't really get any scholarships. But then I had a friend come home from his first semester at this tiny new school in Singapore that no one has ever heard of. And he told me all about this little program of like 50 people in his class from all over the world, including Rwanda. And it was almost nothing in terms of tuition. And that just sounded a lot better to me than this more traditional path that a handful of people I know were doing and did, just because it wasn't smart or it wasn't working hard. It was just thinking a little bit differently. It was like, oh, there's this other program on the other side of the world. So instead of being $250,000 in debt and having a job as a lawyer that maybe isn't that much fun, I have no student debt because I was able to sell some of that scrap metal that I mentioned earlier to pay for the small tuition to go to this program, and now have really incredible friends all around the world, including East Africa. It wasn't working harder or being smarter, it was just thinking differently. The fourth one, I don't know how much this applies to the people on this call, but it's to travel and then go home. That's what I did. That's what worked out for me. A lot of people never leave their hometown. A lot of people leave their hometown and never move back. But a few people will travel and then go back home. And when thinking about being uniquely positioned to have a positive impact on a community, there's a million ways to do it. But one is to go out and absorb other cities, people, culture, experiences, and the countless life insights that can only come from leaving home, even if you live in a place like New York City or Nairobi or Kampala, dynamic cities. And then after absorbing all those experiences, going home. And why go home? Because if you're from a place worth going back to, few people will care about it more than someone that grew up there. Few people will care about the town as much as someone that was born and raised there. And now you not only have that compassion and care towards that town, but you're equipped with the unconventional perspectives of a traveled person. You're uniquely positioned to help make that place that you care about better. To me, there's no better combination than knowing the heart of a community that only comes from growing up there, combined with an index of outside experiences to make improvements to that community that aligns with the heart of the community. Because unlike people from the outside, and I imagine a lot of you have seen people from the outside coming into various communities thinking that they know best, thinking that they have all the answers. I saw a lot of that in my travels in places like Uganda. They might have the community's best interest in mind, but they don't understand it like someone that's from there. So you're not trying to change the community to something that it's not, you're helping it move towards its unique potential. And that's something that only someone that is from there and knows it with their heart, but also has that unconventional perspective of someone that's seen a variety of communities. To close out with number 5, I have a handful of patterns that I think I've identified, and I'd be very interested in what you all think of these, because I think it's really important. One way to find opportunity is to look for potential gaps in things. And if you heard the things that I have created my anti-fragile lifestyle over, they're things that I would argue had a potential gap. Things like renewable energy, working at Tesla, right? There's a potential gap of this is where solar is right now, and this is the potential that it's going to be at in a few years that not everyone recognized. And then that helped bring me to other places. And then having the vision of Plant City, of living at home and just trying to find my way at home. And then in real estate in Plant City. Whenever I bought my first house in Plant City, and this has happened in the market overall, but especially in downtown Plant City, no one was looking at downtown Plant City. They would buy all the places around us. But I saw that potential gap, and it served me really well. So finding those trends, and the trends that I've seen, there's a few areas where places like the US, because of the status of current development, will lead. And then it's a full circle cycle back to how it started. And one example that I already talked about, university and higher education. So right now what you see happening in the US is, well, maybe a 4-year college degree doesn't make sense, because a lot of people in the US now can make a whole lot more money in a vocational program as a welder or a plumber or an electrician. If you'd have told my mom that when she was growing up, she'd say that you're crazy. And I would suspect, and please tell me if I'm wrong, that if you all told your mom that, no, I don't want to go to school and get a 4-year degree or get a master's degree, I want to be an electrician or a plumber. Well, that's the trend in the US. Electricians and plumbers make, on average, a lot more money than people that have college degrees. The second example I'll give is obesity. Is anyone here old enough to remember whenever America was the only fat country in the world?
Yeah.
Everyone joked about how fat Americans are. And it's true, there's still a lot of big Americans. But we're not the only one anymore. And it's not only just Western developed countries. It's not just only Australia and Europe that are fat. I remember I was in Thailand whenever the first Krispy Kreme donut opened. And I don't know if they have Krispy Kreme in East Africa, but I think everyone knows what a donut is, and I think everyone understands that it's unhealthy. And there was a line, 3 blocks, for people to get into that first Krispy Kreme. And that was probably 2009. And I made the prediction then, Thailand is going to be fat, because it's a culture that likes to snack. And now, just like America has had for some time, they have the means. So that's the second step in the cycle, right? But now I have friends in rural India that sell diet supplements, like dirt poor rural India that sell diet supplements to try to stop obesity. And I have friends in the US who are very well off, who only eat 1 meal a day at 6 p.m. They starve themselves all day and eat 1 meal. So it's interesting to see these trends, right? Tell someone, and I know everywhere in the world isn't like these parts of rural India where there's people that are overweight. There's a lot of places in the world that still suffer from actual poverty in terms and don't have enough to eat. But imagine telling friends in the US doing that because it's healthy to do intermittent fasting. So that's just another trend. I'll just say the last one because I think I'm going over on time here. But the last one being status. Previous generations in the US, maybe my parents' generation or the one before that, you see, and all these are generalizations, obviously, but people cared a lot more about having an expensive car and a big house and all these things that show not only comfort, but also their status in society. That definitely still exists in every single generation, but you see more people that care about experiences rather than things. My wife and I share a car. We have 1 car. We'd rather travel to places like Uganda than have 2 cars. And that's something that I would suspect that places that only see America on TV wouldn't recognize that trend of people moving away from material things. Those are some reflections on an unconventional life. Later today, I'll be installing an air conditioner and fixing some tile and not doing the most glorious work. But maybe next month, I'll be building a fancy $2,000 metal project, or in a couple months from that, visiting you guys in Uganda with some fun consulting job. So I hope this was helpful, and I'd be really interested in any comments or thoughts, not on what I shared, but specifically on the trends or any aspects of your unconventional lives.
Thank you, Arley. We appreciate that very much. I guess, I haven't really thought about having that unconventional life before. And in some aspects I do because I'm, being self-employed, but it does give you that freedom. And I thought it was very wise of you when you met your fiance or, met your girlfriend and became eventually your wife. One of the first things you did right off the bat was to take in to share who you were as a person and where you were going, okay, and what not to expect. My wife has a little smile on her face over there. I think I tried to do my best to scare her away and tell her all the bad things about myself too, or all the questionable things. But living that unconventional life gives you that opportunity to go places and do things that other people are not going to be able to do. And it's going to be able to allow you to be the person that you want to be. I noticed you said that, you know, be yourself. And that's so important that you can just be yourself, the things that you do. Now, I know we got quite a bit more conversation to go. I've got to go to USF. I'm going to turn it over to Conrad, and he'll open up the conversation for everybody on the board. And I will be on the iPhone here in just about 2 minutes. All right. So, guys, I'm headed to USF. Thank you.
All right.
I'll talk to y'all soon. Okay.
All right. I wish you a safe journey, Stanley, and I'm so impressed. How many here in Uganda can say, Victoria, my wife, Angela, my wife? It is not common here. If we say this, it is because Paul is raising his hand, but I know he's going to say this because he's still in the other new love. But after some time, at some point, then it is so hard for him to say, Rose, my wife. So we understand.
No,
this.
Conrad, I cannot say so because I appreciate my wife. Surely I appreciate my wife.
Maybe
out
of 100, then we have some number. I know it happens. I also will appreciate my wife if I get to marry at some point. But obviously, I'll say it. I won't include Eddie because I know his feedback or his reply on this. He's just going to laugh at it. But if someone comes to you, most probably like what Adi said, for you to get a wife that is going to appreciate what you have at that point, it is quite so hard. And we all believe that it is hard. Like you said, our wedding ring is going to cost us $100. But it just feels like it's cheap. Someone will say, no, why? But it's cheap. So how many people are going to agree with you that, yes, let's go with the 100. If you can't make it to 100, then that means you can't fit my standard. Maybe I'm too way below your standard. Maybe I'm too high above your standard. So it is somehow going to become hard. But it is so lovely that your wife, Victoria, really took it up. And I'm sure maybe you made a wedding at some point. And it should have been so interesting because that is true love. And true love is somehow not so common here in Uganda, I'll say, but it is there. People do love themselves. People marry themselves. They go for weddings, but it is so hard for someone to take you up when you don't have something that you can present.
I should clarify. Ultimately, the ring did cost more than $100.
Okay.
Not by far less than what the average, I think, wedding ring costs in the US, but it was a little more than 100.
Okay, and that is interesting. I want to appreciate you. All right, I want to appreciate you. Of course, personally, I've learned from what you've said, and I'm sure other people have also learned. We're just opening this conversation.
As far as finding a wife, I can speak on that. It took a long time before I realized what I wanted in a mate. And because I went through a lot of transformation and my priorities all realigned. And I was just looking I wanted a beautiful soul. And I know some people at first like, why are you marrying someone so much older than you? And I'm like, but the soul is a soul. It doesn't age. And when I saw the beauty of Stan's soul, I was like, okay, he's got something there. And it's like, I didn't see it at first until things just, shifted in my own life. And once things shifted, my eyes opened and it was just like, wow, that's the person I want. And, whatever his, past held is in the past, but it was the soul that I went after. And I fell in love with it. And even though he's aging and we're getting older, I still see the beauty in his soul. And, we went to a 50th class reunion recently and some of his classmates were like, what do you see in him? And I'm like, it's his heart. I see his heart. And they're like, oh, you're just a newlywed. And I'm like, no, I'm serious. So the right person comes along that just like this union takes place with your hearts. And then nothing, it's like nothing can like get between it. It's just like them hearts melt together and union together. And it's not the physical appearance, it's not the possessions. I tell Stan all the time, I was like, you know, I used to think I had to have this fancy house and all that. And we did, you know, I did. I lived in a really nice home. I was like, I could live in a tent. I could live homeless now. I have you. And I was like, it's not the material things. Those don't serve me. It's being in communion with somebody that shares a vision like me and shares a heart for humanity like me. That's where I see the value at now in a spouse. So, you know, the right person comes along and they will meet you at where you're at. And they don't try to change you. That's one thing Stan and I, we never try to change each other. We show up 100% real as ourselves. And that's the best thing we can give each other is our true self. So yeah, the right one will come along.
Here, when you're not doing well, it is so rare to get the person you love. If I fall for a girl and I say, I love this girl, she cannot love me back. The focus is simple, money. How are you doing? You have money? No. You have a car? No. Who are you? No one. Go away. No love. That's the major problem. Then what follows in most cases is that age is following up. We need to settle. We need to have babies so that we may not have babies when we are grown up. So through that, you get someone who loves you by who you are. And in most cases, you don't love that person because with your capabilities, you would go for the person you love. The person you love doesn't love you back. So this one who loves you, maybe she's ugly, it wasn't your choice. You settle down with her, you're doing badly. So now, when you come up growing, even at the events, let's say there is a wedding, they invited you, you feel bad. You cannot go with your ugly wife because you're with her because of the situation. It is so difficult moving with someone you do not love. Even in homes, there is always violence. Every time, once you get an opportunity like a pretty woman gets married to you when you're not doing well, domestic violence, every day you're so poor, all your generation is poor, your family is poor, your father is poor, always abusing, always, that you cannot have a peace of mind. But in a situation where some men have gotten opportunities, like you're growing up, let's say here in Africa, when you're 27, when you're 30, you're still a baby. They say he's a youth. You find someone of 60 is getting voted like he's a youth, chairperson youth. So when you get an opportunity and you get a girl that loves you when you're not doing well, which is 1% out of 100%, that real person who will get that girl, and they love each other. With time, when they keep growing, that man is capable of calling that woman my wife because he's always proud. This girl was there for me when I had nothing. But tentatively, it doesn't exist here. It is very complicated. Maybe you grew up from a politician's family where there is money. They join you with someone from other politician family. You grew up knowing, yeah, she's my girlfriend, she'll be my wife. That's the bond where you find people are calling each and everyone their wives. Even Paulo right now, he's so excited. Maybe he's seeing new people. He's seeing the wife to be new. But trust me, Paulo, you're lying to yourself. After some time, things will change, unless otherwise. If maybe you have been powered by the Holy Spirit, which is on a small scale, but it is so difficult. So that's the challenge we are facing here in Uganda. Actually, I heard even in Nigeria it exists and in Kenya. women from these areas are so much into money. I don't know if they have come to take souls with money, but money is a problem. Here, when you have a car, a small car like this, even if it is so cheap, all women are yours. If you're not okay with your life, you can mess it up. As I don't know. Conrad, you know that.
Thank you so
Even if you
very
have a
much.
pickup, even
You
if you have a
guys,
pickup that picks things from the farm, but a woman sits in front with you, there you're finished. So
do you
really
know,
things are
was it
so
like
hard.
that? Was it like that for your grandparents' generation? Do you think?
No,
Like,
for our parents' generation, it was somehow different because the modality was low. Like one person had a car in the society, so these people would have true love. But still, much as true love was there and there wasn't so much materialistic things, even the man who had the best attire would take the most beautiful woman. So it has been there as things come on improving, cars are there, iPhones, I had forgotten to talk about iPhone. iPhone now is the new devil in Africa. iPhone, people are selling their private parts for iPhone 13, 12, and so on. That is now the major thing. But in ATS African tradition, those things were not there and they were not common. That's why you even found our great grandfathers used to marry like 4 women because it wasn't a crime. When a man was handsome, all beautiful women could come to him. You'd even find like 3 fighting for one man without even money or what. But still, there was that thing that maybe from this family in their farm, they have many cows than these ones. That thing has been there. Only that modernity has gone on, a few things have been brought up and so on. So that's the matter. Even at the university, when we are studying, the boy with a room well designed, the boy with a laptop and 32-inch with a big bed is the boy that used to get many girlfriends. If you had nothing, maybe if you had knowledge that you'd be discussing for these pretty girls is when you'd get a girlfriend. Without knowledge, without money, without good car, without even nothing, you had no girlfriend. You just pray to God and read your books. And when you get money is when you have to get the girlfriend. Now the problem comes when people wait to get the women they want and they grow old, they have money at an old stage. So they become violent. They become sugar daddies.
Yeah.
They want to revenge in their childhood when they didn't get what? The girls they needed. So they resort to having many girls because now they have what it takes to accommodate them. They have money and they have everything. That's a very big issue we are having here. I don't know how other countries are doing, but according to movies and documentaries that I've seen from USA, I've seen girls that have been growing up with the love of their lives, whether at home. Me, I've seen in a movie, in an American movie, where a girl loves the boy with nothing. But here, oh my God. Let me even stop
Thank you,
there.
Edwin.
I may not.
that happens in
Because
real
of
life,
time,
but it happens in a lot of movies too.
yeah, and of course, I'll agree with him, but of course, we will range on a percentage at some point because, yes, it happens. And I know Apod is also going to talk about the same thing, but it happens to the fact that the biggest percentage takes it all. And of course, it is like 3/3 of the percentage. So it happens and it has been happening. We have a comment from Vanita and she says, "Hey, Eddie Jack, what you're saying is true, but it wouldn't be right to generalize. I speak on behalf of girls that would rather work hard to make the situation better for themselves rather than depending on a man. And also people that believe in love and mutual respect." Yeah, and that's true. So Paul, mic is yours.
Thank you, Conrad. Thank you, Ali, for sharing. I was really blessed by your sharing, and it's really great being with you guys here every Tuesday. I want to extend my apologies. Last Tuesday I was not here. I was caught in between work somewhere, and I couldn't make it. To my friend Eddie Jack, I feel sorry for you. I feel so sorry for you that you've not found someone you call your spouse, but nevertheless, you will find one. Like we found ourselves. I saw you saying, it's because this and the other and the other. No, one thing that I've gotten to learn here, like Ali was sharing, unconditional wife, unconditional life, is when it comes to relationship, to me, I've taken relationship to be like business. Your presentation, your branding, the way, let's say, like Angela was sharing with us, and she said, ever since she met Stan until today, the way Stan used to treat her has not gone away, has not diminished. But every single day, they have something that really builds their bond, that really brings them more closer than they were even were before. And sometimes you will look at our relationships, the way we run our families, you'll not get to know what deep down inside holds us together. You get? Because I get to learn myself, I get to learn my person. What annoys my person? What annoys the other person? What do I do that, what does the other person do that annoys me? And how do I share it with her? How do I get to pass it to her? How does she get to communicate to me? Because, like in business, if you started off well, treating your clients well, giving them the attention, getting feedback from them, and at some point you get to lower your stake, and you're like, no, good enough, I'm making profits, I'm here, you feel comfortable at a given period. Trust me, your business is going to collapse. It's going to fail at a given time T, because your clients, maybe someone will come in, and what Eddie Jack was saying, that people will come in with iPhones, they will come in with their phone, with their big cars, they will come in with their plots of land and their riches. Our sister Kajumba said, there are those that believe in love. There are those who believe in honesty, working hard towards achieving their relationship. So not all of them are like that, but the circle, like Ali was sharing with us, and was like, attract and surround yourself with unconditional people. It's like the circle you attract and surround yourself with also matters. Look within your circle. If you're looking for a wife, look within your circle of friends. The girls that you move with, you're moving around with around 10 girls. Is there a marriage material? Is there a wife material in amongst those, the 10 girls? If she's not there, then you're in a wrong circle. You're not going to get people from other people's circles. You have to be with people within your circles. So Eddie Jack, you just have to maybe sometimes change your circle and get to know the people you're surrounding or you're attracting. And one thing that I would want to tell Eddie Jack, you're not going to go, you want to attract a church girl, but you're in club. You go to nightclubs, you go to bars and everything, and you want to attract a church girl. If you want to attract a church girl, then you're going to change that trend. You're going to go in church and settle there. That's when you'll be able to find a church girl. If you want to go and get a marriage material, nowhere to get them, nowhere to attract them from. You get it? So, and sometimes we have to be visionary. Like Ali, what Ali was sharing with the wife, she looked at the vision he had. I think she looked through that. When Audrey was talking to Stan, she looked into Stan's vision. I remember she said, they shared almost everything. She liked his ways, his personality, and everything. Do the people you share with, do they like your personality? Or they're trying to change you, they're telling you, Eddie Jack, if you would be this, or Conrad, if you would be this, then I would marry you. And trust me, if you're changing for someone, it's not going to last long. It's not, you know? So sometimes we have to be visionary. Share your visions with the person. If they like it, then they're going to come in partnership with you. I still relate it to business. If I have a business concept and it's really selling, people are going to come and join me. If it's not that attractive, they're not going to join me. They will not be willing to invest their money within my business. You get? And patience. This is something that sometimes we tend to lose out. Everything at times needs patience. I see Karen is saying, yeah, they agree with us and everything. It requires a lot of patience sometimes. There are some things that our wives don't do the way we want them to be done. There are some things we don't do, our wives want them being done. But we try to tell them, you know, maybe we add just a little bit. There is a twist in life, but not everything can be perfect. Then you have to look for people of your same taste and preference. Try to look for people with the same taste with you, who with the same preferences with you. You get? So if you like soccer and you like this, you like the other, and you're trying to get this, you want a life that is so jolly, moving up and down, traveling, but you're getting someone who is an introvert, so reserved, who doesn't want to move here and there. Trust me, the relationship is not going to last. So from my side, those are some of the observations that I've made in my life that have really helped me so far for how I'm living my relationship and my person. And that's the little that I can share. But nevertheless, thank you, Ali, for sharing with us. It was really nice getting to hear from you and learning more about you.
Interesting.
Let me jump in here for just a second. Okay. Yes. I'm listening to all this conversation, which is interesting. I will tell you this, Eddie Jack, and anybody else who's single, you don't have to go on a hunt for a spouse. Okay. You just live your life and be as happy as you want to, run in those circles that you want to run into, and the spouse will appear. Okay. That person, you will meet them along your way. If you're doing what you want to do and living the life you want to live, then you'll discover them. They'll come up beside you, just like Angela came up beside me. With that, I turn back over control to our Mr. Conrad.
Thank you so very much, Stanley. And I 100% agree with you. This is a very interesting conversation. I feel like we just need to get one meeting and it's just open for relationships, love and relationships. And then we can talk about this. We can invite several people who can really advise. But honestly, the truth be told is, yes, like Eddie said, it is true here in Uganda and specifically in Africa. I have a friend who has been working UN, United Nations, in the Southern Sudan of Africa. So this guy told me, when you're going to marry someone's daughter, what happens is they need to first know how many cattle do you have in your farm. And this means, of course, it is still material things. If you need to know how many cows I have first before I get to your daughter, that means even the family itself is implementing this. So at some points, we don't even blame these people. Sometimes we are also bad. Sometimes these people are bad. You can't really compare this. Sometimes we are all not perfect. I'll first go through these messages and then we can hear from Paul. Eddie Jack said, thank you. You are online. You are 1 in a million, but tentatively, you know what's happening here. The true number is 1 out of 8. And I think he was replying to Paul. Then Vanny, thank you, Eddie. Thank you, Paul. Your submissions have been insightful. Then we have one from Karen. I absolutely agree with Vanny. Be who you are, and that does not always mean having a partner. Love yourself first and foremost. Must live for have a doctor appointment. I didn't get that well, but maybe she's going to explain that better. I couldn't state this. I couldn't state it better, Karen. We need to love ourselves. We are a generation seeking love from other people. You can't pour from an empty cup. Learn to love yourself. And I think the point is you need to love yourself first before someone can love you. And of course, how are you going to love yourself when you don't have the love? So you have to have the love in you, and then you love yourself. And that love you have is the same that you're going to pour from to share with someone. So that is, you can't pour from a cup that is empty. So I'm trying to explain that. Paul, you have the mic.
Conrad, about the issue of South Sudanese African being asked for so much cattle. One thing that I wouldn't want sometimes to confuse is culture and modernization or civilization regarding marriage. It's a tradition in Africa or in Uganda. It's specifically, I'll talk about Uganda and some few neighboring East African countries that I've been to. In Uganda, in our western region of Uganda, it's a culture where we pay dowry, you get? And upon paying dowry, we so much know that they used to say a boy, either it's your father who would pay the dowry for you, or your big brother, or yourself, you would work hard and pay dowry. This brings about commitment, because I don't believe one would work hard, raise 100 cattle, then just go and throw them away after getting someone's daughter, because they're not trying to exchange the daughter for the cattle. No, all they're trying to see is your commitment. When I went and I was visiting my wife's parents, when I was making my first step, there are things they requested for dowry. But the entire team that was in there agreed about a particular amount of things that I had to take. But later when we came out, my father-in-law told me, no, if this fails, come we talk. Why did he tell me that? It's not that he's trying to really get materials out, or is not materialistic. Like he's not trying to basically get things from me, like say cows and what, and the cars and everything. But they're just trying to test sometimes your commitment, you get. They're trying to see, are you committed? Are you really ready to pay the price, you get? Because it's just like a price. One thing that I've gotten to learn, they used to tell us that before you marry, ask. It's a Western saying in Western Uganda, to be particular, that Owashwera Buza, Eddie, you know that, translated as, when you're going to marry, ask. Why would they tell you that? They always wanted us to go into cultures that we really match with, you get? We have so many cultures in Uganda where they used to say some cultures would even eat their firstborn. I will put it in quotes, that they would sacrifice the firstborn. We have cultures like when you go to Eastern Uganda, particularly in Mbale, they will say, if you're not circumcised, you're not man enough. But when you come to Western Uganda, whether I'm circumcised or not, it's not a thing. It's not a big deal. But now in Mbale, you will not marry someone's daughter when you're not circumcised. So it doesn't require you to pay $1 million or what, but only being circumcised determines you as man enough. So about culture and dowry, for what cultures asked for in exchange for the bride, surely I think it's another set of understanding, another set of teaching us to work hard so that you pay a price. That's the reason why you find today people are jumping into relationship. They jump in and out because they have nothing to lose. We've seen chief testers around here. Like Ali was saying, he promised his wife that the wedding ring would not go beyond $100. Approximately that is around 380,000 currently in Uganda. how many of us here are even willing to buy a ring of that much? We are not willing. We are not willing. So the moment the girl will tell you, I want at least that one nice ring. If you bought that ring, this lady is going to look at that ring, and it's like a commitment. You've put in, you've invested something. It's going to show her that you're really working towards something, and that you're trying to draw them to yourself. You care. You're paying a sacrifice. My brothers, I think we need to have a time and talk about this. Thank you. I submit. Shalom.
Thank you, Paul. Let's hear from Andy.
I just wanted to comment on your first comment, Paul. All of it, you said a million wise things, but one of them, I just want to note that I met my wife through a friend. So when you're talking about surrounding yourself with the right people, it just makes life not only better, but also just easier. I wasn't, it wasn't on a dating app. It wasn't at a club. It was just a friend who thought that, and it was intentional on her part, on the friend's part. But the last thing I'll say is my wife's mother is from the Philippines, and one of the traditions there is to bring a rooster. A very old tradition that I don't think anyone does, but for symbolic reasons that Paul was alluding to, I brought her mom a rooster. And I think it was a nice gesture that she appreciated.
You're forgetting that you had a connection from a friend as well. So before the wife even came to you, maybe they had briefed her and then she knew how you're doing. So, and yes, sometimes that is the best thing someone can do, because sometimes you always even go back to that friend and you're like, but you're not doing well there. Maybe what can we do? And that is the always run to friend. But honestly, the truth is, it still goes back to working so hard. And unless you have worked so hard, there's something you need to provide at someone's family, or even the family that you're going on, because you need to be man enough to look after a family. I'm making 28 years in November, but I'm still there. I'm still there. And yes, I have a girlfriend.
But you have someone. You have someone, Conrad.
I have someone, but it doesn't mean that you're going to go for marriage anytime soon. Because personally, right now, if they say bring 10 cows, where do I get the 10 cows from? So that is something that is going to hold me back to say, I think I cannot manage at this point. So I'll now wait for 29, 30, and then we count and count and count. But it still goes back to working hard. This doesn't now include the woman herself asking you for money, but you also have to look after your family or after your wife to make sure that at least she looks better. And to the other extent of when I'm working with her, then I'm able to be comfortable and say, yeah, she's my wife, something like that.
We are working hard so that we may get a beautiful wife that we need, since we need money to get what we want. So we are working hard.
Yeah,
the issue still is the problem. Parents don't want to understand when they are talking to Muko, when they are talking to the son-in-law. Some people understand, they talk, they say, since now you do not have cows, go work, bring them. But others are rude, they're like enemies.
Thank you so very much, Eddie. We can't end this conversation. I'm sure it is so interesting. I'm so happy for all your generous contributions towards this. I want to thank you so very much, Arley, for accepting our invitation and for creating time to come and speak to us. We are so humbled, and we invite you for all the other meetings that are yet to come, because every Tuesday we have a meeting at the same time. The link is the same. So if you have any time, then you can always join in and then listen to what happens here. We are always happy people, and we are always so happy to have you. Paul, you have something to say?
Conrad, before we close up, kindly, we're requesting and we're inviting you all to join us in our back to school fees fundraising. As Charity Gospel Missions Africa, we're trying to partner with Education Mission to see that we extend free education to some children in our neighboring communities. So currently we're having fundraising that is running on our social medias, and we're kindly requesting that if any one of you out there, if you see our posters, we kindly request you share our posters and you try to bring in people to really support us, because we're on this one noble cause. We want to extend free education to some people, and would want them to have useful degrees, not unuseful degrees. So we look forward to supporting them, and so that they can have some bit of education. And these are basically orphans, and some are single parents that cannot really afford school fees. So we started an initiative of always coming in to support these children, and our time is running out because we're supposed to be clearing their end of term so that they can be able to meet their end of term examination to be able to be promoted to other classes. So we call upon you to join us and support us achieve this goal. Thank you, and may the good Lord bless each one of you who is going to support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. And I think I'll have to share this with Angela and Adi. I'll share the flyer and then you'll have a look at it. We are looking for 4 million. That lens Eddie is showing us costed him 6 million because he was looking for 6 million. He was able to get this money from friends. And the same way we are doing this, we can also get little money from friends. You get 10,000 here, 1,500, and then at the end of the day, we have that money. So our target is 4 million, but even if we get more than that, we know there is another term coming. So right now, our target is 4 million, but yes, you can share with friends, you can share with whoever you feel can give us something. So that is so interesting. And it is already on social media, it's moving. If you look for Charity Gospel Missions Africa, you'll be able to see the flyer. It's partnered with Educational Missions and Conrad Leonard Digital Solutions. We are pushing this. Otherwise, I'll need to wish you a blessed day. I'll need to wish those in Uganda a good night because it's already late here. But to those that still have their day going on, then wish you a blessed day. Bye-bye.